Every day, there seems to be more and more celebrity faces that are being completely deformed by plastic surgery, to the point that they're almost completely unrecognizable. But why is this so prevalent and common? This never really used to happen like it does today, and people in the public didn't look up to it. It was usually a sign of mental illness or deep insecurity. So what effect does it have when the celebrities people idolize are constantly injecting plastic into their faces? What does this do to wider society's beauty standards if the people we look up to are almost unhuman in their plastic appearance? The truth behind their unnatural faces is locked so tightly behind closed doors that people can no longer tell the difference between reality and fantasy. These unrealistic standards of beauty have not only destroyed people's self-esteem, but have perpetuated a fear of aging in the Hollywood elite, to the point that they are willing to alter their faces to keep the years away completely. And unfortunately, these changes often result in faces that are beyond people's recognition, or what some might just call cartoonish. While most celebrities don't recognize that they've gone too far, others were faced with a major reality check when they looked themselves in the mirror one day and realized they no longer recognize themselves. Most notable are Courtney Cox and Simon Cowell. These two celebrities were involved with some of the most iconic franchises in the world, and as a result have some very recognizable faces. But unfortunately, as they got older and got so sucked up into the Hollywood bubble, both these people would venture into a desperate mission to maintain their youth for as long as possible. People have been watching Simon Cowell for decades, but all of a sudden it seemed like he'd completely changed, from looking like just a normal guy to suddenly looking deformed. It didn't start off too badly. There were a few comments here and there, but it does seem fairly common, especially in Los Angeles where he's living. You can presume that after watching other people in the industry get lots of work done, especially in the music industry, Cowell decided to have a little bit of Botox injected into his upper parts of his face, allowing himself to get rid of a few wrinkles here and there. But unfortunately, once they realized the potential of just one Botox surgery, they wanted more and more, desperately trying to fit into Hollywood and the music industry by doing anything they could to maintain their youth. Things would escalate very quickly, and soon people would point out how demonic the surgery was making them. As soon the Botox just wouldn't be enough, Simon Cowell started having filler placed in his cheeks, under his eyes, and according to some professional plastic surgeons, even in his lips.
In 2009, at the age of 50, it looks to me like Simon may have started cheek filler around this time. His cheeks just look fuller, and there's just this expansion of his face that I'm seeing, with likely the use of filler.
While the changes to his face were slow and could maybe even be dismissed as fluctuating weight gain, Cowell couldn't deny that he had gone too far after his young son's reaction to his father's face. While looking at some old photos of him, the judge's son Eric got scared of his father's new face and struggled to even look at his own dad. It was a horrifying moment to see his dad, the person who'd raised him and brought him up in the world, completely disfiguring his natural face, all to just fit in and escape his insecurities. Cowell realized that he too no longer recognized himself when he looked in the mirror, so he decided to have all of his fillers dissolved. Later he would reveal that his choice to dissolve his fillers was not just because of his son's reaction. While testing an e-bike, Cowell got into a traumatizing accident that left his back broken in several different places and necessitated a 6-hour surgery, which included having a metal rod installed in his spine to stabilize him. The accident and the difficult recovery made Cowell realize just how unfit he really was, and how much he'd been relying on artificial means to make himself look good. All the stress of his job, being a celebrity, and running this huge music label had taken a dramatic toll on his health, and as such aged him. And no matter how much junk he put into his body to maintain his youth, nothing could fix the deep-rooted issue. So he decided that not only was it time to dissolve the fillers, but also to re-evaluate his diet and his lifestyle choices. In lots of cases, the pain, insecurity, and problems that these celebrities face can often be helped by understanding your roots and family tree. By understanding your heritage, you can better understand your place in the world, which is why I partnered with MyHeritage, today's video sponsor. Trusted by 90 million users, MyHeritage not only makes building your family tree a simple and enjoyable activity, but it also gives you access to powerful tools that can help you research your family history and grow your tree. It's fun and easy to build your family tree, discover your origins, and you might also find some new relatives. I did this myself, and it's really simple to do. Using MyHeritage, I entered my parents' and grandparents' names and dates of birth, and just like that, MyHeritage started building up my entire family tree, allowing me to discover that generations back, part of my family tree includes the great-grandfather's nephew of the famous Archbishop of Canterbury who broke the news to Queen Victoria that she was the Queen. as MyHeritage provides you the ability to search their 20+ billion historical documents to find records of your family members. Even if you don't know much about your family's origins, MyHeritage can find new family members and records of your ancestors for you with just little effort. Through their Instant Discoveries feature, you can easily add an entire branch to your tree with just the click of a button, enabling me to find so many interesting stories and photos of my family in the 1800s and their journeys across to America, bringing their memories back to life. With this technology, you can find matches with other family trees using smart matches, allowing me to discover relatives I didn't even know existed. And when you find some old black and white family photos, you can then use MyHeritage to repair, colorize, and enhance and even animate them. So learn more about your family and heritage by signing up today for a 14-day free trial and enjoy all the amazing features MyHeritage has to offer. Just make sure to use the link in the description below. He lost over 20 kilograms or 44 pounds and started feeling better about himself, but unfortunately he couldn't escape the desire to alter himself for too long. And in 2022, Cowell decided once again that he wanted to alter his face surgically. While he had dissolved the filler in his face, the use of Botox caused the muscles in his face, specifically his forehead, to stretch and weaken. As a result, his brows and eyelids started to sag. He went under the knife and had several procedures done to lift his brows and tighten his face, but the result was even more jarring than before. So when Britain's Got Talent posted a promotional video featuring Cowell that same year, the public was shocked. He looked completely disfigured, almost demonic looking, with some comparing him to a melted action figure while others remarked that his face looked hollow. Now Cowell might be healthier than he had been in a long time, but the changes to his face will stick with him for years. And it's truly just a symptom of what happens when you live this sort of celebrity lifestyle, where everything's so superficial about how you look, how you appear to the world, and nothing more. And when you desperately try to fit in, doing whatever it takes to make your appearance look somewhat better, you end up just destroying yourself completely. And this reflects itself to everyone looking at you. And Courtney Cox's situation is only slightly better. While Cowell started using artificial means to stop his aging because he was watching everyone else do it, Cox was driven by how poorly Hollywood treats aging actresses. For many years, she'd watched as older women were forced out of the industry as long as they no longer met the beauty standards of what people wanted to see on the screen. Her inability to see beauty in age made her unhappy with her appearance, so she started getting fillers. But unfortunately, she didn't realize just how much the fillers were altering her face until it seemed too late, and over the years, her face continued to balloon to unnatural proportions. Then in 2016, while appearing on an episode of Running Wild with Bear Grylls, Cox revealed some of the struggles she faced working in Hollywood, and how jarring it had been when she processed just how much her face had changed, calling what she had become horrible.
I have learned lessons. I think I was trying to keep up with getting older and trying to chase that, it's something you can't keep up with. So the more you relax into it and the less I try, because sometimes find yourself trying and then you look at a picture of yourself and go, oh God.
Yeah.
Like, you look horrible.
So Cox eventually realized by looking in the mirror and seeing how deformed she was becoming that she too would have to dissolve her fillers. And while many plastic surgery professionals believe that she hasn't had them fully dissolved, it's nice to see that she does at least look happier with her appearance and actually has a natural full range of movements in her face. But why is this happening? Why is this so common in Hollywood in particular? It's a never-ending loop of always trying to be relevant and fit in whatever nonsense society tells you is beautiful. And if you live in this bubble in LA or New York where you constantly have to keep up with these insanely unnatural standards promoted on Instagram and the media that you yourself actually help create, it's no surprise then that these people eventually turn into parodies of themselves. However, some celebrities aren't willing to put the knife down just yet, nor are they willing to admit that it's ever been in their hand for quite some time. While audiences don't need to know every little detail about their lives, problems arise when someone who's obviously had work done just blatantly denies it, whilst constantly making the wider public feel insecure about their appearance. This is something Ariana Grande has actually developed quite a bit of a reputation for. The singer has long been considered one of the most beautiful women in the entertainment industry. They were flawed by her music, but unfortunately, as beautiful as she might be, not even Grande herself has been saved from the beauty standards that plague the industry. According to experts, the singer has been quietly making tiny adjustments to her face by shrinking her nose, lifting her brows, and even adding a little extra shape to her chin. But as we've seen, these changes started to take a toll, becoming particularly noticeable around 2019 and 2020, as her face looked significantly sharper than fans were used to. Understandably, people were curious to know what had actually happened to her face, but rather than give a straight answer, Grande denied ever having work done, and tried to move past the speculations with no further explanation. But unfortunately for her, the denial didn't satiate her audience's curiosity, and they continued to speculate about it. Most were confused about why someone who seemed to have such an air of confidence about them made such efforts to change her face, but the answer seemed to lie in the other changes in Grande's life and the people in the industry surrounding her. Throughout her career, the singer has been flipping through different skin tones and accents like she's playing dress up. When she appeared on stage alongside Nicki Minaj in 2016, she almost looked darker than the rapper, and so people started to voice their criticisms. For some, it seemed like she was having this multi-year long identity crisis, as she desperately tried to find a space where she fit in. Others felt there was something else at play. Of the many procedures she's speculated to have had, most services are usually only necessary for much older people, implying that the singer may desperately try to maintain a youthful look. Now, given her past as an actor at Nickelodeon and the shady people behind this organization, it's almost completely unsurprising. For much of her teen and young adult life, people have used her looks and youthful innocence for their gain. We've seen the same thing with Britney Spears in the industry, and it ended up completely destroying her life. And so Grande, from the pressure of these industry tycoons, has probably been clinging to her younger years in the only way she knew how. Eventually, the speculation started mounting up too much, and so this year, while promoting her upcoming film Wicked, she attempted to put the rumors about her plastic surgery to bed. Among her and her co-star, many interviews were a polygraph test with Vanity Fair, during which they asked her if she'd ever had work done. The singer's reactions are very over the top and look rehearsed. Her response is almost sarcastic at first, but as the clip goes on, it's apparent that sarcasm isn't Grande's intention, and all she's trying to do is play herself off as genuine and truthful.
Did you get your nose done?
No.
Did you get a boob job?
No.
Did you get a face?
Can you imagine? No. Not yet. I'm open.
Truthful.
Wait, and go back to the other one, nose lift?
She's telling the truth.
But as each of her denials were confirmed as truth, Grande looked particularly pleased with herself. She'd successfully got a machine to confirm that her face was natural besides some Botox and fillers, which she apparently hadn't touched for 4 years.
I've had fillers in various places and Botox, but I stopped like 4 years ago.
This we know, yeah?
And that is the extent.
Suddenly everybody was proved wrong, only the evidence is right there on her face. It's almost entirely different from when she began her career, and as much as she wants to, it seems like there's no denying it. And the funny thing is, according to this interview, she supports people who want to surgically alter their faces.
But also like in full support of all people who do these things work. Whatever makes women, men, non-gender conforming people feel beautiful should be allowed.
But then why is she so hesitant to share about her own changes? Is she embarrassed by them? Is she trying to avoid backlash? Or is she trying to hide up the root cause of why this is even happening to begin with? The industry pressures, the people behind the screens, who reinforce the mantra that in Hollywood, to succeed, you constantly have to cling to your youth and do everything you can to hide up your true aging. All because that public image is more important than anything else. And if that involves wearing a literal mask of plastic on your face, then so be it. Now, the embarrassment about this may be the more likely explanation, and a surprisingly common thread amongst those in the entertainment industry. Zac Efron himself found himself in a very similar cycle of denial in 2022, but this time it was even worse. In 2021, he posted a video of himself to promote Bill Nye's Earth Day musical, and it wasn't too surprising that many people realized something was deeply wrong with his face almost immediately. His jaw was just so much more pronounced than people were used to, and many people began to speculate that he'd undergone massive plastic surgery, as he just looked kind of ridiculous. Now, Efron only addressed the rumors after his mother made him aware of them and explained that his enlarged jaw was actually because of a chin injury he'd sustained 8 years prior. Apparently, after an unplanned sock skate that led to his jawbone hanging off his face and subsequently needing to be wired shut to heal, Zac Efron was going through intense physical therapy to retrain his muscles. Then, while taking some time off in Australia during COVID, the muscles just started growing, resulting in this weird enlarged jaw. While some took him at his word, others weren't that convinced by this. According to some experts who analysed his jaw, it's very rare for a jaw to enlarge in the way the actors had after reconstructive surgery.
In 2021, at the age of 34, this is when we're seeing more significant changes to his face. The cheeks, the jawline, all look more refined.
It was even rarer for that enlargement to happen on both sides of the face, much less symmetrically. It would have also been impossible for a person's lips and cheeks to get fuller due to such an injury. So either Efron was lying or he's just been incredibly lucky. Ultimately, it did become very tough to take him at his word, especially in 2022, when the transition between his chin and mandible smoothed out due to a possible use of filler.
In 2022, at the age of 35, it's possible that Zac may have had some jawline filler. There is now a smoother transition from his chin to the body of the mandible.
It was an odd thing for him to lie about. He had no struggles talking about his mental health, but for some reason had a lot of trouble sharing about the potential plastic surgery that he was undergoing. Maybe it's embarrassment once again. Maybe he doesn't want to admit to the public that he too has succumbed to the pressures of the beauty industry that is just completely unattainable to reach. It becomes even more bizarre when you realize this isn't his first delve into plastic surgery. According to experts, Efron had 1 or 2 rhinoplasties to slim his nose down slightly and refine its shape.
In 2007, at the age of 20, I'm seeing the results of a potential rhinoplasty surgery. The tip bulbosity has been reduced. It's not quite as round and as wide. There's also a slight increase in infra-tip prominence. That's the area at the base of the nasal tip. 2014, at the age of 27, what I see here is potentially the result of another rhinoplasty procedure. It looks to me like the tip has been further narrowed. When you look at the way that the light hits the tip of the nose, you can see the light reflex off of the tip. There's 2 spots there, and that to me is more narrow than it was prior.
While the actor said he wouldn't be in the right business if he valued what other people thought of him to the extent that they believe he does, that may not be the whole truth, or rather that might not have been the truth in his earlier years. But given that his career took off after High School Musical, it's likely that life as a teen idol became his complete identity at heart, and as he lost his youthful charm, it almost felt like his life was slipping through his fingers, with the industry ready to forget him just like that for the next guy, ultimately leading him to completely change his face like this. And the fact that everybody started pointing this out to him probably brought a limelight he really didn't want. But it could just be this is a result of a chin injury, but as it seems that's probably not the case. And although he has altered his face drastically, it isn't completely unrecognizable after his potential run-in with plastic surgery. But that's not so much the case for the family that has pretty much become synonymous with these kinds of artificial alterations. For as long as they've been on TV, these women have been creating petty drama, getting into chaotic scandals and changing societal beauty standards, often for the worse. We've spoken about this before in a video about Instagram, and how they completely changed the mindset of millions of young girls around the world. For years, every member of the Kardashian Jenner family has done their part to contribute to the quickly worsening state of the self-esteem of millions of women and girls. Just like how gym bros pretend to be natural, all to sell you their supplements and workout routines, the same can be said for the Kardashian family and their beauty standards. They can always promote their makeup brands as a way for every young girl to just look like them, without openly telling everyone the amount of surgery going into it. However, Kim Kardashian in particular did record her first brush with Botox for everyone to see, and it became quite a pivotal moment in her life and her family's in changing the standards of beauty. During this TV episode, Kim was shown feeling insecure about minor signs of aging, like the crow's feet developing in the corners of her eyes, and is injected with Botox, a fairly standard procedure. Post-injection, Kim then freaks out and is terrified that the doctor might have hit a nerve when her eyes develop bruises. While talking to the family physician, they inform her that bruising is a normal part of the process. He also informs her that this isn't a procedure she needs, and Kim sadly responds with a remorseful "I know." The moment seems to be a bit of a crossroads for Kim. She can continue down the same path as her mother and make every step she can towards ensuring that she keeps signs of imperfection and getting older at bay, all as long as she possibly can. Or she can accept her body for what it really is, just like every other human. But ultimately, Kim decides to go for the former, and fans have had a front row seat to her constant augmentations and abrasion to any natural changes to her body, such as those that come with bearing a child. Kim was so unhappy with the way her body came out after giving birth to North that she had it altered to the point that you couldn't even tell she was pregnant, almost trying to completely brush aside what healthy motherhood looks like. Sadly, she was unable to enjoy the process of turning into a mother because it came with bodily changes she wasn't ready to accept, and as a result, it made every other mother more insecure about their bodies. But it's not just herself that's had these troubles. There have been far too many instances where Kim has edited her own children, most notably North's stomach, so that they would better match societal beauty standards that they were setting. But not the whole family's like this, at least not to this extent. Kylie Jenner actually admitted that she would be heartbroken if her daughter grew up and wanted to alter her body once she got old enough.
But yeah, obviously I have a daughter too. I would be heartbroken if she wanted to get her body done at 19.
And Kylie Jenner might actually be one of the saddest cases in this crazy family. When Keeping Up with the Kardashians began, Kylie was barely 10 years old and had been wrestling with fame ever since, often making missteps and letting insecurities get the better of her. And it was these insecurities, like everyone else in this list, that led her to start getting her body altered. It started with her lips after a guy told her he didn't think she'd be a good kisser because of how thin her lips were, and it all escalated from there. Like most of her family, she barely looks like herself, more like a plastic figurine, sporting a significantly narrow nose, fuller cheeks, and a face that is way more defined, along with a body that's only achievable through surgery. But she spent years denying these obvious changes, often claiming that they were the result of exercise or even creams, and made so much money off of people desperate to have lips like hers that she became a billionaire with her makeup brand, selling this false dream to millions of people around the world, making a whole generation of women more insecure. But it was only when Kylie gave birth to her daughter that she started to truly see the error of her ways. Since having her daughter, she's been a lot more open about procedures that people already knew about, and progress is progress, I suppose. And it's at least good that she's a lot more aware of her influence and other people's self-esteem. While she has declared that she regrets getting so much work done over the years, and seems particularly remorseful for the work she's done to her body, she hasn't done anything about it besides to solve the filler in her upper lip. It's this process of constantly trying to outrun their nagging insecurities that's leading to this crisis of people becoming more and more plastic to retain any of their younger self. To the point where now it feels like if you don't get surgery, you'll immediately be uglier and less successful than those around you who do. Meaning if you don't do it, someone else will, and they'll take your position where you want to be. Just like guys thinking they need steroids or testosterone pumped into them to keep up with the next guy who's juicing. And it's this endless treadmill of outrunning insecurities that spirals out of control, leading to everyone feeling increasingly insecure and ugly in society as a result. Instead of confidently embracing your appearance and age, we're seeing these things being treated like a sickness rather than just a part of life. Thanks so much to MyHeritage for sponsoring this video, and to discover your family origin and more, don't forget to check out the website by using the link below.